Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel for some Battlefront related news. Feels very weird to say that. I haven't posted a Battlefront specific video in like 5 months. Since then, I've just been covering other Star Wars news, gaming, or whatever catches my interest, but still using my Battlefront 2 killstreaks as background gameplay for those other videos, which has worked out really well for the channel, thankfully. But today, there's actually some Battlefront news to cover, not just player counts rising or something meaningless like that. Actual news in regards to something Star Wars related that's in the works, involving several Battlefront 2 voice and motion capture actors, as well as the lead writer for Battlefront 2 potentially, who of course still works at EA. Before we get into all of that, because there's a lot to get to there, I also want to throw in this little dev interaction that happened over the weekend over on Twitter. It definitely wasn't worth making an entire video about just this, so I figured I would just throw it in here because it's interesting at the least. It's definitely worth mentioning before getting into all the voice actor stuff, because all of these things are happening around the same time, so at least worth mentioning. So, Christian Johannesson, who was the lead game designer for Battlefront 2 and is still at DICE right now, put out a tweet about Battlefront 2 going free to play on the Epic Store next week, which it is by the way. Another current DICE dev, Peter Vesti, who was the map designer for Battlefront 2, jumped into his replies, and in those replies he was asked, "Hey, is Battlefront 3 gonna be better than Battlefront 2? To which Peter responded with this gif of a man counting to 3. Might mean nothing whatsoever, and on its own I wouldn't even cover it, but I just wanted to throw that in there before we get into the more substantial stuff related to the voice actors, because they might be related. Okay, so you guys remember the Battlefront 2 campaign, right? Featuring such unforgettable characters like Del Meeko and Gideon Hask, and who could forget Admiral Garrick? Truly the most memorable Star Wars characters of the past decade. Step aside Din Djarin, Zay Versio is in town. Yeah, Battlefront 2's campaign wasn't all that well received, but to be fair, the characters weren't really the problem, just the story they were in was kind of uninspired and by the numbers, at least for the most part. There were definitely some highlights, like Luke's level was outright great, and Shriven Lando's level was pretty entertaining, and I always did like Iden Versio well enough. Her story was very rushed, but I did like her as a character, thought there was at least some potential there. Anyway, to cut directly to the chase, these actors are back in the studio doing mocap and voice work for something Star Wars related that the lead Battlefront 2 writer Mitch Dyer has also chimed in on. All within a few days of each other, the voice and motion capture actors for Iden Versio, Garrick Versio, and Del Meeko all tweeted out photos of themselves using motion capture suits and doing voice work in LA. They even tweeted at each other with the actor for Del, TJ Ramini, saying, "So lovely seeing and working with you all again on what we shall not reveal." Anthony Scorti, who is the actor for Papa Versio, also liked responses to his tweet of him in the studio asking if what he was working on was Star Wars related. Then, just this morning, Mitch Dyer, who wrote the Battlefront 2 campaign, take that for what you will, replied to this reunion thread saying, "I can't wait for whatever this reunion is," which is probably tongue-in-cheek, like, ooh, can't wait to see what this is, when they already know exactly what it is. So, what does this mean? Well, going by all available evidence, these actors, and I would imagine others as well that didn't tweet about it, are coming back as their Battlefront 2 characters for something Star Wars, almost certainly a video game, considering the motion capture suits. That's where it gets weird, because I genuinely did not expect to see these characters, the ones from the Battlefront 2 campaign, back in any major way for anything, let alone a video game. From my perspective, this is likely one of two things. The first is obvious, something Battlefront related. Could be a sequel, could be a spin-off, who knows? If it is something related to Battlefront, chances are these characters would only be involved in a cameo or a flashback, or just something to tie the Battlefront 2 campaign into whatever they have planned for the next story they want to tell. I just don't think these characters were liked well enough for DICE to give them their own story again. I could see them getting reused as side characters, but I just don't see them giving a full campaign to Inferno Squad, for other reasons as well. I guess spoiler alert if you haven't already played the Battlefront 2 campaign, but whatever this is almost has to be set before the Battlefront 2 campaign takes place, because when you consider Iden's dad is involved and he eats it during the campaign, it really can't be set after unless it's like a flashback or something like that. Iden and Del live to be elderly and then they die, so there's a story to be told in there, I suppose, because we didn't see most of it, but considering Papa Versio croaks during the campaign, This definitely leads me to believe if it is Battlefront related, it has to be for a cameo or a flashback tie-in to their next story. The other option for what this could be is something Squadrons related. I am wondering if they are planning to bring Inferno Squad into Squadrons to sort of tie Battlefront and Squadrons together. They have been somewhat regularly updating Squadrons with content, but it seems like most people have been ignoring the Squadrons updates, or a lot of people just aren't interested. I mean, the official EA update announcement video from a month ago for the next Squadrons update has less views than my last video, which was just some random LEGO Star Wars upload, and that's the official EA trailer for the Squadrons update. Of course, the die-hard Squadrons fanbase is very happy with the updates, I'm sure, but it's just a niche group of players. There is nothing wrong with that, it's just the way it is. Back to the Battlefront 2 actors doing new voice work and motion capture, I'm just not sure why they would need to drag the actors out for new motion capture if they were just adding pilot skins or whatever, or cosmetics. I don't think you would need motion capture work for the multiplayer skins. I don't see why that would be necessary, and the idea of a full single-player story involving Inferno Squad in Squadrons just seems like a bit much considering the updates for that game have been free so far. I'd be really surprised to see EA commit that many resources to something that isn't making them money, especially something single-player. Now, a Battlefront spin-off or something like that makes more sense to have Inferno Squad involved on that level in a small way. Anyway, only time will tell exactly what this ends up being. EA has an earnings call in a couple of weeks, it's public, and usually we hear some of what they have planned for the year during that call, so keep an eye out for that when it comes around. It's during the first week in February. With that said, that is going to do it for today's video. If you did enjoy it and could leave a like, I would definitely appreciate it, and if you are new around here, feel free to subscribe. I know the uploads have been slow lately. I put out an explanation for that over on Twitter. Just didn't want to drag this video down with that, but if you're wondering why, feel free to take a look. Either way, uploads will be back to normal, few times a week, starting this month. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.